You found yourself on another edition of Let 'em Know Kings United, and on today's episode, the Cavs win 7 straight against the Wizards, but barely, and the Kings are so inconsistent, it's unbelievable. Defensive breakdowns, perimeter breakdowns, the Kings embarrassingly lose to the Pistons. I don't know what else to say about that, but we're going to talk about it right here on Let 'em Know Kings United. And now, ladies and gentlemen, it is that time for the post-game reaction podcast of the Cleveland Cavaliers, Sacramento Kings, and the Chicago Bulls. This is Let 'em Know Kings United. Let 'em know, nation, no feather in the crest music today because I want to make this a quick episode before the trade deadline ends at 3 p.m. Eastern, but you know what time it is. Welcome to another edition of Let 'em Know Kings United, your Cleveland Cavaliers, Sacramento Kings, and Chicago Bulls post-game reaction podcast. I am your host, Scarlett Weisberg. Thank you so much for tuning into today's program. You can find Let 'em Know Kings United, which is 100% completely free and available on Amazon Music, Google Podcast, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Radio Public, Pandora, wherever you get whatever else you want to listen to the show, or you can watch this show on my YouTube channel. If you are watching this show on YouTube, hit the like button on the video, hit subscribe to my YouTube channel, NJHawk40, and turn on your notifications and hit that notification bell so you know when the next time Let 'em Know Kings United goes live. For my audio listeners, give the show a follow on those platforms if you can. Please turn on your notifications so you know about the next episode. Please rate, spread the word out to your friends. Give Let 'em Know Kings United a 5-star review on whatever podcast platform you are listening to this on. It is a great way to support the podcast, and I appreciate every single one of you for tuning in. The Sacramento Kings were coming off probably the most successful road trip of the season. A 7-game road trip that the Sacramento Kings went 5-2. The only losses that they had at that road trip was against a really good Miami Heat team and the hottest team in the NBA, the Cleveland Cavaliers. Pretty successful road trip, all things considered. They came back home against the Detroit Pistons team that quite possibly is the worst team in NBA history. And coming into this game, we all thought this was going to be an easy game. We thought it was going to be a game where the starters dominate for 3 quarters and then the bench guys come in, right? Wrong. Jaden Ivey, Jalen Duren, and the Detroit Pistons expose the Sacramento Kings 133-120. Before I even get into it, I need to give the kudos to my childhood team, the Detroit Pistons. I mean, Marcus Sasser, Jaden Ivey, and Jalen Duren. Those 3 guys were probably the biggest game changers in this win for the Detroit Pistons. Jaden Ivey scored 19 of his career high 37 points in the fourth quarter last night. He also added 7 assists and 6 rebounds. Alec Burks, who is now a New York Knick, he played his last game as a member of the Detroit Pistons last night. He really impressed. 25 points and 7 rebounds off the bench. The Knicks also got a game changer in Bojan Bogdanovic. By the way, the New York Knicks right now are winning the trade deadline. I think that Sacramento's not going to make a move. If Sacramento did make a move, it has to be for Alex Caruso because they need a captain on the defensive end, and I'm going to explain why they need a captain in just a second. And I already know that the Chicago Bulls, and more specifically, the front office of the Chicago Bulls, is absolute garbage. Garbage to the point that I really do not expect Kame and Eversley to do anything at all. And as far as Cleveland, I think they're fine. Cleveland can live with not a big move come the trade deadline at 3 p.m., but I want to see Cleveland make a minor move at the deadline, a minor move to help increase depth on the defensive end. But back to Jaden Ivey in Detroit. Jaden Ivey balled out. Quite possibly, he played his best game as a member of the Detroit Pistons, probably the best game of his career. The Detroit Pistons improved to 3-20 on the road this season. Now, let me say this. Sure, the Detroit Pistons season is pretty much over. This Pistons team is pretty much going nowhere. That's why they cleaned house so far at the trade deadline. But I will give the Detroit Pistons credit for this. They played hard. They're playing hard. Monty Williams, you might be a good coach, but you got a terrible team. You got a terrible team, bro. I'm going to keep that a buck. But Detroit played hard. They played hard, and that's all that they can ask for. By the way, Marcus Sasser, he is a straight-up bucket. Probably the sleeper of the NBA draft for the Detroit Pistons. He added 18 points off the bench. And Jalen Duren, this dude is a straight-up problem. Give it a couple years, this guy could be an all-star in a couple years' time. Believe that. He had 20 points, 15 rebounds, and 6 assists for the Pistons. Jaden Ivey said, I talked to myself before the game, just focus in the fourth quarter where I can attack and be aggressive. If I have my shot, just take it and be confident in it. Monty Williams said about the win, for Ivey and Sass and all our young players to make plays in moments like that on the road, that expands your capacity. You can only grow from these types of experiences. And you know what's crazy? The Pistons were very, very shorthanded coming into this game. Not only did they not have Cade Cunningham, but they also didn't have Bojan Bogdanovic, who now is a New York Knick. And good for New York. Good for the Knicks. They needed a bench scorer, and I believe the Knicks got that move with Bogey, who both average more than 20 points per game. Ivey said, just a great game overall. I feel like everybody used their gifts to the best of their abilities and gave it all they had with some guys out. I'm so proud of them. If you are a Detroit Pistons fan, you have every right to be proud. That was a great team win. That was a momentum building win. Hopefully the Pistons can build on this. They have another winnable game, which I expect the Detroit Pistons to win tonight against Portland. But given the trade deadline acquisitions, I don't know how that is going to play out. But good team win for the Detroit Pistons. All credit to them. As for the Sacramento Kings, I have never seen this team be so inconsistent in my life. And you know what's the most embarrassing part of this is? There's only one guy on this roster that is anywhere near consistent this season. Anywhere near it. And that guy wears the number 10, and that guy is Domantas Sabonis. He led the Sacramento Kings with 30 points and 12 rebounds for his 33rd consecutive double-double of the year. Can't blame this loss on him. Can't blame this loss on Domantas. Domantas is the only damn leader that the Sacramento Kings have. Everybody else is inconsistent. Malik Monk, he's been consistent off the bench with 23 points and 10 assists. But the Sacramento Kings heard boos from their fans throughout the game, and they deserve it. They honestly deserve. The fans at the Golden One Center last night obviously had the right to boo the Sacramento Kings. And you know what, Sacramento? You deserve those boos. You've earned it. The only person that the fans cheered was Domantas Sabonis. This team is so inconsistent. It's unfreaking believable. It's unfreaking believable. And they are inconsistent on the defensive end. Mike Brown said, there's nothing to change up structurally on defense because we're not doing our job. We didn't do our job tonight for sure. Mike Brown, you're terrible. I thought you were going to get better after winning Coach of the Year, but turns out you are nothing more but a disgrace. Chris Finch is out coaching you. Mark Dagnall from OKC is out coaching you. Hell, if you want me to say it, Tyronn Lue is out coaching you. The top 3 teams in the West are doing better than the Sacramento Kings coaching-wise. And you can add Willie Green and the New Orleans Pelicans too, because that is a matchup nightmare for Sacramento. But the Pistons outscored the Sacramento Kings in the final quarter 36-21 and won despite losing the turnover battle. Monty Williams said that team can score in bunches on everybody in the league. So for us to hold them to 21 points in the fourth quarter, that's the difference. Monty, I have to disagree with you because here is the difference of this game. The Pistons were 100%, 22 of 22 from the free throw line. That's the difference. That to me is the difference of this game. Sacramento continued to prove why they are the worst free throw shooting team in the NBA, while the Detroit Pistons probably had their best game from the foul line. That is the difference. The Pistons shot a season-best 56% from the field and made 17 of 31 three-pointers because the perimeter defense of the Sacramento Kings is absolutely lethargic. It is absolutely lethargic and absolutely inexcusable. The Kings are just allowing teams like the Detroit Pistons, San Antonio Spurs, Houston Rockets, teams that you are supposed to beat, to get whatever the heck they want. If I was Sacramento at the trade deadline, you need a captain on defense. You need a captain that leads you on defense, teaches you to force players to where your help is, teaches you how to ice and hedge screens, because the ball screen defense for Sacramento all night was absolutely non-existent. Nowhere to be found. And Mike Brown, Jordi Fernandez, I'm blaming you for that. Coaching costed the Sacramento Kings this game, and the Pistons hot shooting, especially 56% from the field and 54% from the three-point line, 22 of 22, 100% from the foul line. That's the difference in this game. The Pistons outshot the Sacramento Kings all night, and besides from Domantas Sabonis, there's nobody in Sacramento that is consistent right now. The Kings are in a stretch where they take one step forward and three gigantic steps back. Maybe the Kings need a change in leadership. Maybe Sacramento needs a winning mentality, because right now, looking at this game and looking at the stats, I think the Detroit Pistons had nothing to lose, and Sacramento looked disrespectful. Besides from Domantas Sabonis, everybody else disrespected the game. And you need to respect the game, you need to respect your opponent, and you need to play, and you need to match their energy. All credit to Jaden Ivey, all credit to Monty Williams, all credit to Detroit Pistons for simply outworking Sacramento all night. And you know what's crazy about it is, Sacramento almost won every single stat in this game. But Detroit outworked them. Simply put, outshot them and outworked them. The Kings were like a team that didn't want to play. And you play like this against the league worst team, the worst team in the NBA, coming back home after a successful 7-game road trip, and you lay an egg like this. I'm embarrassed. I'm truly embarrassed. Proud of the Detroit Pistons because that's my childhood team, and that's always going to be my childhood team. But as far as Sacramento, that was pathetic, bro. That was pathetic. Other stats besides the shooting, the Pistons out-rebounded the Sacramento Kings 48-33. At one point, the Sacramento Kings in the first half had no offensive rebounds, which I haven't seen before a day in my life. But that's a credit to the Detroit Pistons' mentality into this game. The assists 32-31 in favor of Detroit. The steals of the block, Sacramento won the battle 7-2 and 6-2 respectively. They forced 13 turnovers, did Sacramento, and they scored 20 points off the turnovers. The fast break points were 12-9. The points in the paint were 56-50. But the difference in this game was the hot shooting of Detroit, lack of perimeter defense in Sacramento, the foul line shooting, and the inability to crash the boards. I mean, Jaden Ivey, have yourself a breakout night, young man. He shot 37 points, 13 of 23 for the field, 5 of 7 for three-point range, with 6 rebounds, 7 assists. Jalen Duren, he is a dog, boy. 20 points, 7 to 10 for the field, 15 rebounds, 6 assists on the night. Killian Hayes had 8 points. Off the bench, Alec Burks drilled 25 points. He was 5 of 7 from three-point range. Marcus Sasser had 18 points, 2 of 6 from 3, 2 of 2 from the free throw line, 4 rebounds on the night. Asar Thompson finished with 12 points. He was 5 of 6 for the field with 6 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 steals, and a block. As far as Sacramento, the only person I'm going to acknowledge is Domantas Sabonis. 33rd consecutive double-double with 30 points, 12 rebounds, 7 assists, a steal. And Malik Monk had a really good game off the bench with 23 points. Trey Lyles did the best that he can with 19. But Kevin Huerter also finished with 16, but De'Aaron Fox, so inconsistent on so many levels. No wonder why De'Aaron Fox was not named to be an All-Star. Domantas Sabonis is playing like he should have been an All-Star. And besides from Domas, there's nobody on this Sacramento Kings team that is consistent right now. I mean, they're in a tough 9-game stretch. And coming up for Sacramento, starting with the reigning, defending, undisputed NBA champions. And I got to be honest, this Sacramento Kings team is looking like a play-in team. Unless they show me they can change their mentality, unless Sacramento can prove to me that they can change, I don't expect Sacramento to do well. We are nothing more but a play-in team. We drop from the 5th spot in the West to the 7th spot in the West. We should have beat them. We should have beat this Detroit Pistons team. But you laid an egg and you allow Jaden Ivey and the worst team in the NBA to cook you at home. You should be ashamed of yourself, Sacramento. All credit to Detroit. Good team win for them. Coming up next, the Cleveland Cavaliers beat the Washington Wizards thanks to Donovan Mitchell. But I gotta be honest, they barely won, and I'll explain why when we come back on Let 'Em Know Kings United. We're back on Let 'Em Know Kings United, and before I talk about the Cleveland Cavaliers win 114-106 over the Washington Wizards, I will say this. I am not going to take anything away from Donovan Mitchell scoring 40 points, including 14 in the fourth quarter, and the Cleveland Cavaliers winning 15 of their last 16 games, going 14-1 in this stretch, and winning 7 straight against the Washington Wizards team that they should have beat, and they ultimately did beat. I'm not going to take away from that. And I will take the win any way we can get it. But that game to me was too close for comfort. Way too close. At one point, the Cleveland Cavaliers and the Washington Wizards were even through 3 quarters. And then ultimately the Cleveland Cavaliers pulled away in the fourth quarter. That to me was a bad win for the Cleveland Cavaliers. Very bad win. Because look at the record. The Washington Wizards were coming into this game 9-40. 9-40. And then Cleveland decided, you know what? Let's play even with the Washington Wizards. Let's play even with them and then ultimately put them away in the fourth quarter. Ultimately, Donovan Mitchell is a closer, and Donovan Mitchell did what closers do, and that's put a team like Washington away. But honestly, I'm not satisfied. I am really not satisfied with this win because the Cavs lost the rebounding battle 47-46, the league's worst team on the glass. But they held the host to 45% shooting, and they limited Jordan Poole, the Wizards' leading scorer, scoreless on 5 shots before he fouled out in 24-plus minutes. We did a really good job of limiting Jordan Poole, but Kyle Kuzma, we did not do a really good job defending him. JV Bickerstaff said, I think we just do our best to try and make it as difficult we can on him. him. We throw different lineups at him, different matchups. Our big guys do a great job of protecting, but guys have taken an individual challenge on him. Neither team led by more than 7 in this game until Darius Garland's runner was counted good via basket interference to make it 108-99. As far as the win, Donovan Mitchell said, I keep saying it, it's February 7th. This is great. We're in a great position. But at the end of the day, we're trying to play until April. Be in the best position then, definitely not satisfied with where we're at. And honestly, Donovan Mitchell, I completely agree with you. I am not satisfied of the fact that the Cleveland Cavaliers won this game. Despite the fact that they did, I'm not satisfied with it because I think the Cleveland Cavaliers deserved to lose this game. A lot of mental lapses in this game. And I'm just saying this. A good team like Cleveland shouldn't play the Washington Wizards even for 3 quarters. We should have just wiped the floor with this team. We should have just wiped the floor with the Washington Wizards. But that didn't happen until ultimately the 4th quarter. Evan Mobley said after this game it was more on us. We just had a lot of mental lapses. Started out pretty slow, just weren't knocking down shots that we normally knock down. Mitchell said for us, we didn't start well. We didn't play our best basketball. For us to kind of still know that, acknowledge that, and being able to fix it, it's something to fall back on. Understanding we have a foundation. I'm not going to take away the fact that Cleveland won this game. A win is a win at the end of the day, and I will take the win. But my only advice to Cleveland is you gotta be better. You gotta do better. Fortunately, you have a game tonight against Brooklyn, who just acquired Dennis Schroeder from Toronto for Spencer Dinwiddie. So ultimately, I think Cleveland will have a bounce-back game, but you gotta play better. You gotta play better. You gotta start out stronger. This game, to me, should have been a loss for Cleveland because of the fact that Washington and Cleveland were pretty much even through 3 quarters. And ultimately, Cleveland found a way to pull away in the 4th. But I cannot accept a win like this. I just cannot. I don't know how you guys feel about it, but I just can't accept the fact that we won this game. But at the end of the day, a win is a win, and I'll take any win we can get. Right? I'll take the fact that we're 33-16. I'll take the fact that we won 7 straight wins. I'll take the fact that we are 14-1 in their last 15 games. I'll take the fact that we are one of the hottest teams in the league. But at the end of the day, Cleveland, you got to do better. You got to learn how to start games better. You got to learn how to play your brand of basketball. Because honestly, we played the Washington Wizards brand of basketball, and it almost costed us. If it wasn't for Donovan Mitchell scoring 40, we would have lost. So thank your lucky stars that we have Donovan Mitchell on your team. Because if we didn't, we would have had the most embarrassing loss of the year for Cleveland. But like I said, a win is a win, and I'll take it. The Cavs shot 48% for the field, 34% from 3. Washington shot 45% and 40% from 3. The rebounding battle, Washington won that battle, but slightly. The assist numbers 27-25 in favor of Washington. The blocks were 5 each. The fast break points were 13-11 in favor of Washington, but the points in the paint, clear advantage for Cleveland, 54-42. Donovan Mitchell was the main reason that the Cleveland Cavaliers won this game, and as far as I'm concerned, the Cleveland Cavaliers owe Donovan Mitchell a huge thank you for saving Cleveland's butts. He finished with 40 points, 14-25 for the field, 7-7 for the free throw line with 8 rebounds, 5 assists, and a steal. Evan Mobley did pretty good with 22, 8 rebounds, 9-10 from the field. Jarrett Allen had 12 points, 9 rebounds, 2 assists. DG had 13 points, 4-12. Very ugly game from everybody else Besides that, Kyle Kuzma did really well for Washington with 28 points, 4 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 steals, and a block. Daniel Gafford, who is now a Dallas Maverick, finished with 14 points, 13 rebounds, 4 blocks, and a steal in his last game in Washington. By the way, that is a good pickup for Dallas to get some help with Derek Lively, the second out, and the fact that the Dallas Mavericks don't have a center right now. Tyus Jones finished with 15 points, 3 rebounds, 8 assists. Kispert off the bench dropped 23 points, 7 rebounds, and 2 assists. But again, I'll take the win for Cleveland, but the Cavaliers need to learn. This was an ugly win. This was a win that the Cavaliers honestly didn't deserve. I thought the Cleveland Cavaliers barely won, but ultimately, at the end of the day, a win is a win. But Cleveland, you got to be better, and you got to bounce back tonight against Brooklyn. That's going to do it for today's edition of Let 'Em Know Kings United. You can find this show on Amazon Music, Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Radio Public, Pandora, wherever you get your favorite podcasts, or on YouTube. If you're watching this video on YouTube, hit subscribe on my YouTube channel, NJHawk40. Like the video, drop a nice comment down below, and turn on that notification bell so you know about the next episode. For my audio people, give the show a follow, turn on your notifications so you know about the next episode. Please rate, spread the word out to your friends, and give Let 'Em Know Kings United a 5-star review. I am Skylar Weisberg. Thank you for tuning in, and I will see you right back here for another edition of Let 'Em Know Kings United.